So this is Katrina. And so tell me like a little bit about growing up with around addiction
and really, I didn't know
Mm-hmm.
at the time. I mean, now that I'm an adult and I can look back, I can see, okay, yeah, that could have been a sign. But she did hide it really well. And she's very open about it now. I mean, as soon as she got clean, she was I went to NA meetings with her. Because as you know, when you first get clean, you jump into the program because that's your lifeboat. That is what saves you.
Yeah.
And that's what keeps you sane.
Yes.
And so I did all the NA functions with her, the dances and things like that. But no, she hid it very well. And we joke because she's a horrible liar, except when she was using. She could lie, and she could have won an Academy Award. But, now, no, she's not high anymore, so she can't lie. But my parents divorced when I was young. My biological parents divorced when I was young. And I did live with my mom and my stepdad, for a while, for a few years when I was a kid. And my mom is very high energy.
Yeah.
Very active. So the fact that she was a cocaine addict
just fit.
Really, yeah, it fit.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't see any kind of signs. Now I was never allowed in her purse. But I mean, other than that, I really didn't know.
Yeah.
She's very petite as it is. She's only 4'11". On a good day, she would weigh like 110, maybe. So she always looked very good. It wasn't until she divorced my stepdad, and I moved back in with my biological dad. I lived in Virginia. She lived in Ohio, but we still talked weekly.
Yeah.
Maybe even a couple of times a week. We've always been very close. And I was 13. It was 1990, and I hadn't heard from her in a while. It would, and my dad had said to me, well, do you think she might be sick? And I said, no, if she was sick, somebody would have called me.
Yeah.
Well, I finally do get a phone call, and it's my mom, and she's in rehab. And she hadn't called because she had been detoxing for 14 days. And I was so angry. I was angry because, come to find out, my dad had known. Apparently, she had let him know and told him, don't say anything, let me handle this.
Yeah.
And I was only 13, but I was always a little bit older for my age, and I felt very betrayed. How could you hide this from me? How I didn't know, and I blamed myself. A lot of kids do that, I find. Had I not been born with a disability, had I not been born sick, she wouldn't have had all these pressures. Now, as an adult, that was nothing. She had a horrible, horrible childhood. And she self-medicated.
Yeah.
When she left my biological father, and maybe this is when it started, she left my biological father and she took speed. And she had our entire house packed up and out and re-established in a new place within 8 hours.
Yeah.
And she was working night shift at the time. So she got off work.
It's like, whoa, I can function.
I mean, she was like, bam, and it was done. And now I know when she went to rehab in 90, she had been using cocaine for 8 years.
Oof.
She had gotten down, by the time she got clean, she was 75 pounds, pissing the color of Orange Crush. Her dealer wouldn't even deal to her anymore. And her boyfriend stood her in front of the mirror naked and said, look at you. And her boyfriend was using with her.
Wow.
And he said, look at you.
Yeah.
She was starting to overdose at work. She was passing out. And she worked in the hospital. She worked in central service at the time, where they clean and sterilize equipment.
Yeah.
And so they would take her down to the ER, and the ER doctor was like, how much marijuana are you smoking? And my mom, being the snob that she was like, I don't smoke marijuana. Because you don't like it. It's a downer.
Yeah.
You know, I can't function on pot. I'm too paranoid, and I eat and I pass out. You know, no, I need something that keeps me going. But they weren't checking for drugs. So he just, you know, assumed.
Yeah.
So she went into rehab, and she called at one point. She was ready to go. I'm done. I can't do this. And she called her best friend Carol, and they're still very good friends. And she said, come get me. I'm done. Fuck this. I'm done. Carol went and sat with her all night. And Mom didn't leave. And Mom will say, I called my weakest friend because I knew she would get me out. But she was my strongest friend. And she did it. And she said the only reason she never picked back up was because she never wants to detox again.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Right. Who wants to do that more than once? It sucks.
Right. And when she got clean, she was very open with me about it. And we have a lot of great stories that, I mean, she's funny. My mom has always been funny, but one of my favorites is when she was in rehab, a woman came in to draw blood, and she wasn't using gloves. Mm-hmm. And first my mom says, do you know where you're at? We are all fucking drug users, and you're not going to use any gloves. Then she couldn't get my mom's vein. And my mom says, I will give you one more opportunity.
And that I'm doing it.
Because if I can drive down the road going 60 miles an hour in the dark and I can hit my vein, there's a fucking problem. So she was an IV drug user. And I would say things like, this is after she was clean. It was one summer we were picking out plants. I was like, man, you got some veins in the back of your legs. Yeah, I know.
You are aware of that.
Yeah. So, but she was always very open about it. And I was part of, when I would come visit her, I'd go to the meetings with her. I'd go to the functions with her. And she threw herself into NA. And the only unfortunate thing is it did kind of wreck her marriage. And it's not that NA wrecked her marriage. It was, my dad didn't know how to share.
Yeah.
Because, I mean...
he was used to probably having her...
sick.
Yeah.
You know, because, they were separated when my mom went into rehab. But when she went to rehab, when it came to family day, that was her family. And her and my dad have always been... stepdad. Have always been very close. They were always good friends, and it was kind of funny. They waited, longer than they were actually married to get separated. They tried to reconcile a couple of times, but I remember the first summer I visited her, we went to see When a Man Loves a Woman with Michelle Pfeiffer as an alcoholic. And Mom just afterward was just sobbing. Oh. And she kept apologizing. Because she saw herself as that addict, and what it does to the family. The separation it causes between spouse, the anxiety it can cause with your kids.
Yeah.
I didn't realize that. I mean, my mom's got a short fuse anyway, but you put somebody on a stimulant like cocaine,
yeah,
and that fuse becomes all the smaller. But I always, when I got older and I started experimenting, I am grateful because when I saw myself with cocaine going down that road, because I'm not my mom, I can handle it. But, the more we say we're not going to be our parents, the more we tend to turn into them. But I was lucky because I was able to see that I'm not headed in a good direction.
Yeah. So
I just up and left. Where, changed people, places, and things. I just left the state.
Yeah.
And I don't think I touched it again. I may have touched it maybe twice. But I just lost interest in it.
Yeah.
So, and really, my only addiction was with the methadone when they put me on it for pain.
And what kind of pain were you having?
With my disease, with my dwarfism, I have brittle bones.
Yeah.
And so they say there's so many different causes for arthritis, but I have had around 500 fractures and breaks in 40 years. And so whenever you break something, it causes arthritis. I've got severe scoliosis. So
you definitely have legitimate reason.
Yeah. I mean, so I did battle with chronic pain with my hips, and it was starting to affect the way I functioned.
Yeah.
And I was young. I was only, I think I did not get on a pain regimen until I was about 19 or 20.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it started out with Percocets and Vicodins, but then they wanted
to
stop
working.
Well, they wanted to stop the roller coaster.
Yeah.
Which, so they wanted something that was long acting.
Yeah.
And I was cool with that. And I remember when my doctor suggested methadone, all I could think of was Billie Holiday getting off heroin.
Yeah.
And I was like, I'm not a heroin addict. And at the time, I'd never touched anything but pot. And I'm like, I think that's a bit much.
Yeah.
And they explained, no, it's great for long-term pain management, and it was. I mean, I became more active, which the thing about arthritis is if you are inactive, it hurts more.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to stay active, but it's hard to get that feeling.
Activity going.
Yeah, but I have to be careful because if I'm too active, I'm going to break something.
Right.
But it gave me that medium I needed, that I could be active enough to keep certain pain at bay, and still function. Now, nothing took pain away completely, but I could function, and when I had Sean, I got off all meds completely, and then after I had him, I got back on it, and, I've been on it since. I'd been on it since up to a year ago.
Yeah.
And I had gone through small withdrawals before.
Right.
I had to move, and so I'm changing doctors. So I would kind of wean myself down a little bit, and I'd gotten the first dosage of withdrawal.
Yeah.
Not fun, but I was able to get back on it, and everything went fine. And when I finally was kicked out of the pain clinic, because I still smoked pot, and I got busted twice in 6 months with pot in my system. I got arrogant.
Yeah.
And I own it. Yeah, that was stupid on my part. But when they told me, you're fired, I was excited. I was like, cool. I'll get off the methadone. I'll finally see what it feels to be normal again. And the more I read about it, I was like, it causes phantom pains. So how much of my pain is
actual,
and how much of it is just the methadone induced? It changes your brain chemistry. It does all this horrible shit.
And they don't tell you about.
Right, no. And so I was like, cool. I was riding my little pink cloud.
Mm-hmm.
This is going to be awesome. I was starting to, cut myself back. I did it slowly. It was fine. My mom was worried. And she was like, Katrina, you're basically getting off legal heroin. I've seen it happen. It's not pretty. I was like, no, I'm fine. It's going to be great. I'm doing it well. I'm doing it slowly. It'll be fine. And I was prescribed 10 milligrams 3 times a day. So I was doing up to 30 milligrams a day. That's not a lot. When you look at the recreational
that's what they start you off with in the clinic. You start with 30.
Right. But maybe a little. So, not a big deal. I remember I was cooking dinner, and all of a sudden it hit me. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to die. It was just, I got the shakes and the cold sweats, and it was the vomiting and the diarrhea. It was the flu on top of the worst hangover ever.
Yeah.
I laid on the couch, and of course it's summertime, it's hot, our air conditioner goes out. I'm laying on the couch, I can't move. At night, the like a restless leg syndrome. All I could do was
so much worse at night, isn't it?
Oh my God, it was awful. I'd lay there and cry and just rock because my body was electrified. It was horrible. And I can remember telling Sean, he's 15, and I know he's getting ready to go into high school, and it's such a rampant thing. Don't ever do this.
Yeah.
smoke pot, drink beer. Don't ever get on the pills.
Yeah.
Look at me. This is not fun. You know, and I was so angry at my doctors. And I was talking to a friend who also has chronic pain. And I was like, you know, I'm a junkie. And she's like, no, you're not a junkie. There's a difference between being addicted and being dependent. She said, but you know what? When you're withdrawn, it's all the fucking same.
Yeah, you feel like...
Yeah, you know, and I was mad because this wasn't on me.
Right. Like, you made a choice that you thought was an informed choice. Your
Right.
doctor's backing you up. Like, it's not like you said, I'm going to party.
Yeah, and I never got that buzz. I mean,
Right.
it did give me... It made me active, but I was like, it's just because I felt good.
Right.
And, you know, I was so angry that, you know, but like I said to you earlier, is that, you know, I don't think they knew the repercussions.
Yeah.
This was 20 years ago.
Oh, and I can tell you, like, I've learned that if you want to know what you're taking, don't ask the doctor, because the doctor knows what the pharmaceutical company has told him. You have to go and ask the, like, the pharmacist. Because doctors are stupid about that stuff. Like, they just are... A lot of them don't know, and it sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It sucks because they don't tell you that you're gonna. I have another pack, but I'm not sure what I did with it. But thank you. Oh,
I'm just handing it to you to put on the table.
I have some menthols. I will give you one back.
Oh, that's okay. You can keep your menthol. I'm never that desperate.
That's the best thing about smoking menthols. It really is.
Nobody wants them. But now I see commercials for people who are on pills, you know, and they want to get help. And it's like, oh, we can help you. We can give you methadone. We can give you Suboxone. We can give you... And I'm like, are you fucking... And I'm yelling at the TV, are you fucking kidding?
That is not
You're
help.
just taking them from one to another.
Oh, yeah.
Because then you got to get off that shit.
And when you're in the pain clinic or you're in the, you know, the Suboxone doctor, and like okay, when I went on Suboxone, I told my doctor I don't want to be here any more than like a year. I don't need much. And at the time it was really confusing because I told him I'm literally taking the smallest crumb of Suboxone that a human being could possibly break off.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just to try to subside the withdrawals from the methadone that I had quit taking 3 months before that. How long were your withdrawals?
The physical withdrawals of the vomiting and the diarrhea were a good week and a half.
Wow.
And because it would start off with I'm feeling a little queasy today, and then it just increased, and then finally decreased a little bit. So I'd say a good week and a half. However, my lack of energy lasted for months. I'm just now
starting to feel normal.
Yeah, getting back. But I've noticed emotionally I'm a lot different.
Yeah.
I'm a lot more emotional. I'll cry at the drop of a hat.
Me too.
You've always been a crier, though. Shut the hell up. You've always been a crier. But certain things, like my husband, he'll go ranting and raving, just venting.
Yeah.
And he's more talking to himself. I used to be able to just let that roll right off of me. Can't do it now.
Now it's like, shut up.
He might not be talking to me or about me. I mean, and I hear it, and I'm like, sorry, I don't have the patience that I used to have.
Right, because before you can just kind of zone it out.
Yeah,
and be like, it's not happening.
Yeah.
And now we have to learn these coping skills.
And I don't know, I'm looking at certain things, and I wonder, you know, how much of it I was coping with versus how much I was just ignoring.
Right.
And I noticed that I have absolutely no tolerance for BS anymore.
Yeah.
And I'm quick to go off.
Yeah.
In a sense. And I laugh because my in-laws, like my sister-in-law, certain people around Quentin, they're actually afraid of me. Or they make it seem like they're afraid of me. You know, they were like, you know, she's only 3 foot tall, but get her mad, she's broke. I ain't fucking with that bitch. No. She don't want me on this property? I ain't.
We're not going to try that today.
And I'm like, what the fuck can I do? Really. But whatever it is, they just know I'm starting to earn a reputation. And I don't know if I want that to stop. I'm kind of okay.
It could be a good thing.
Okay with my little badass attitude. God. But I'm just, I feel bad. I never want to go on another pain management regime.
No.
Again.
And what you said about how, like, it causes phantom pains and stuff, I think that's very interesting because doctors don't tell people that shit. And so, like, I'm sorry, I'm trying to quit cussing, but that's like trying to quit smoking or quit heroin.
Right.
Like, it's the last to go. I'm clean, my mouth is still dirty.
Right.
But, yeah, like, they don't tell you that. Like, my doctor diagnosed me with chronic pain, with psoriatic arthritis, all these things. And so, I mean, I was eating the gabapentin like it was candy on top of Suboxone and taking, like, handfuls of Benadryl to sleep at night. And, it's crazy because when I went to rehab, like, I didn't sleep for 8 days. And I was not on much Suboxone.
Mm-hmm.
Like, and they had this thing where they would taper you. And once I got in there and I started seeing everybody else was having trouble, I thought, I'm going to get this shit over with as quickly as possible. And so my body is trying to clean itself out. So I'm not putting anything else in it. Because, I mean, you could ask for muscle relaxers. And if you were on your period or whatever, they would give it to you. I had my period twice while I was there. Like, my body was so... And I'm sure the world wanted to know that. But it was crazy, though. Like, the nurse told me, she was like, once your brain starts to repair itself, things like ibuprofen will work again. And it does.
Right?
And, like, I don't have all that pain that I used to have. Like, it used to hurt to go up and down the steps. And I'm 33. Like, that should not be happening.
Right.
Like, I remember when I was in the methadone clinic, going up the steps was just, I was so glad that we had a bathroom downstairs because I probably would have squatted outside if I had to rather than go up those steps. I mean, I always felt like I had barbed wire to my kneecaps. And doctors don't tell you this stuff. And then when you try to get out, like if you do something wrong, they will drop you like that and they don't care how sick you are.
Right.
But if you try to get out, like you're not ready for a decrease, you need to do some more counseling. It's just ridiculous. And then they don't do pill counts like they're supposed to. And so it's like, really?
Right. Now at the pain clinic, they offered me nothing. They gave me a call and said, you should decrease,
Yeah, but don't come back.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah.
And once you get fired from a pain clinic,
you're
good
done.
luck trying to get into another one.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
And
it's not going to go very well.
No.
It sucks.
And also, just in other doctor's offices, when I had my teeth done, they asked, what kind of medication you're on, and I said, I'm in a pain clinic. And she asked me, what is your drug of choice?
And it's like...
And you immediately, when people find out you're in a pain clinic, you're a junkie.
Oh, yeah, they treat you so awful. And then what gets me is that once you get in recovery, like my husband had to go get 2 teeth removed, and so we went and told the dentist he is newly in recovery, and we've heard that you give ketamine, and he doesn't want ketamine. And they're like, oh, it's fine, no big deal, we have to do that, that's the only way we're going to take them out. Well, it was the only place we had to go, so it was like, okay, I guess we're doing the ketamine then. And then, this was just like so lucky, like I was in this Affected by Addiction thing on Facebook, and like somebody had posted that they were on, oh gosh, it's not Darvocet,
Dilaudid?
Ultram. Ultram. And they were like, I had this motorcycle wreck, my doctor put me on Ultram, I told him that I was in recovery, he said it's no big deal, it's non-narcotic, it's not a big deal, and he's like, I'm going through heroin-like withdrawals right now. He's like, so I knew, like, this is not a good idea. So they hand him a prescription for Ultram, and I'm like, nope, we're not even taking that home. Tear that shit up. You can have it back.
Right.
He'll be fine. And the amazing thing is, like, so we didn't get any prescription filled. He had his teeth taken out, and the next day he was fine. And that's how fast your body repairs itself when it's allowed to. But when you're dumping opiates in there, it does not work like it should. Mm-hmm. And, I mean, if he had still been on Suboxone, he probably would have been in pain for days. Mm-hmm. That Ultram wouldn't have done a thing for him. Mm-hmm. It would not have helped him. And it just amazes me. Like, doctors make me so mad. And, like, I'm so lucky. Like, I was in the Suboxone doctor for 4 or 5 years and prayed, like, I don't want to do this anymore. Like, please give me a doctor that doesn't suck. Yeah. That will help me. And finally, one day I show up in there and there's a different doctor in there and she's like, I need to check you for tracks. I'm going to start counting your pills. So be aware of that. And, like, she was just a godsend. She was the one that sent me to rehab. And, like, none of the other doctors had even asked me if I wanted to go to rehab.
And I remember shortly before you went, right there at the end, that's funny, that's the last time I saw you was when you were using.
Yeah.
But you were miserable.
Oh.
And you were one of the few people that craved sobriety.
Like, I wanted to die. Like, I wanted to die rather than to keep that up.
No, you weren't happy as a mom. You weren't happy as a wife. You know, you were just miserable.
Miserable.
And you can see the walls were coming in.
Yeah.
Again, you felt there was no way out.
Yeah. Like, I've many times laid down in my laundry room floor, like, God, would you just kill me? Because I can't do this anymore and I can't stop. You know, and and I have to say, like, it's really sad because that doctor, she told me before I went to rehab, she said, if you go to this program and you come out, you will be the only person through this doctor's office in 4 years that I've seen do this. And, I mean, I came back after that to get the Vivitrol shot. And I took it twice and started having a really bad reaction. She was only there for 1 month after I got back from rehab, and then they got rid of her.
Not making any money.
And, yeah.
And taking out all their patients. I mean.
It's like, come on. Like, she's the one that's helping. And it was just so obvious to me that that's why she was gone. And I have to say, like, it's like an act of God that I'm a sober person because I don't do the Vivitrol shot. I took it twice. It made me very sick. Like, the first time I took it, I got real itchy, and I was like, that's weird. That's like a pain pill thing. Like, I didn't go to rehab to keep doing that. I started getting really grouchy. I got a headache that lasted 3 weeks. I went and took it the second time, and I was like, if this happens again, I'm done. And I never went back, and I don't mess around. Like, I don't have to. It's just, and like, the Vivitrol shot is great for some people, but it was not good for me, and it didn't. And I quit taking it, and I don't feel any different except for that I don't have a headache, and I'm not scratching like a crazy person.
And you're not a little bitch.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
It's just,
it's a money maker.
It is.
They make money making us addicts, and then they make money getting us clean.
Yeah.
It's a win-win.
It is. They tell you need the Vivitrol. Well, I don't. I don't need it.
Just like, okay, you're on heroin. Well, here, we'll put you on something else.
Give you some Suboxone
and then
that you're going to have hell coming off of.
People don't have insurance, can't afford insurance. They can't afford to fucking go to rehab.
Yeah, and then you have the heroin.
Yeah, and so
it's like, I can afford that.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. And, I have a friend that goes to our Celebrate Recovery, and I went and got Narcan training because he overdosed twice and died, in a 6-month period, and the only thing that saved him was that Narcan. And it's like, heroin is such a bad thing. And they put so much fentanyl in it now, and I'm like, why? Like, why do you want to kill your customers? It doesn't make sense to me. Sometimes I wonder where it's coming from. Right. I'm like, is it the government here? Like, what the hell? Like, this doesn't make sense. If I was a dealer, I would want you to come back.
Keep coming back, right? Keep giving me that money.
But, I don't know. I have my opinions about that. But
And I'm not in that realm. I've been lucky to not get in that. And what's funny is if someone finds out that you have pills, all of a sudden you're like, hey, how much do such and, people come up to you and say, how much are such and suches? Fuck, I don't know.
Like, I actually need mine.
Right. I've had somebody ask me, how much is a Percocet? I don't know. I pay $1.25 for all my prescriptions.
And you know what's so funny is I couldn't tell you how much a Percocet is because I started on the hard drugs. Like, I started on Oxycontin, and it was on. I mean, like that. Like, within a month, tracks on my arms, dropped out of school, sold all my stuff, starting to steal from people. It was ridiculous.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go in the methadone clinic and think you're going to get better, and that turned into a 6-year venture of trying to get out of there, and then it's just ridiculous and sad.
Very.
I know.
And it's this horrible epidemic, especially with the pain pills.
It is.
I mean, every time you turn around, and now it's even on the news. They report. It's like the weather. How many have overdosed?
Yeah.
This month as compared to this time last year.
Yeah.
And it's like, awesome. Just what I needed to hear with my morning coffee.
Like, and they won't do anything about it. Like, hello, pharmaceutical companies are allowed to sell this crap.
Now the state is trying to come down harder on controlled substances for doctors' offices and stuff like that. But there's always a loophole.
Always. Oh, yeah.
Always a loophole.
And it is unbelievable to me that, like, I can be pregnant and getting a prescription from a doctor and they're going to take my baby.
Mm-hmm.
But the doctor's not going to get in any trouble. And literally when I was pregnant, I told them I'm going through withdrawal right now because I didn't know I was pregnant, but I did quit the methadone clinic. But that was a month and a half ago and I'm still sick. And they're like, you have to go to the Suboxone doctor or we're turning you over to DCS. Like, I did not have a choice. And it was like, what? This is not the help I need. I'm asking you for rehab, and you're sending me, like, come on.
It definitely seems like it's a no-win.
And then when the baby's born, they're like, well, the baby's sick. We're going to put him in the hospital on morphine.
Oh, right, to help with his withdrawal.
Yeah.
Oh, my God.
It's such a runaround.
It's
ridiculous. But we're about to run out of time.
I think we've covered it all, really.
I think we have. So thank you so much.
You're welcome. I'm proud of you.
You too.